Welcome back to Comical Opinions. This is a review of The Agent, #2 from Ablaze Publishing. And in this issue, Agent Rim, who got her first taste of the magical world underneath the one we already know, gets a little bit bigger and a lot deadlier. But before we start, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Let us know how we're doing. We'd love to hear your feedback. Also, if you could give us a like or a comment to boost up the algorithm to let YouTube know that we're out here and we're trying to do some good things for you, that'd be much appreciated. But before we get into it, let's talk about the title credits. This is The Agent #2 from Ablaze, written by Matthew Gabella, art by Fernando Dagnino, colors by Carlos Morat or Morote. I apologize if it's one or the other. And letters by Vibrant Studios. And the main cover A, is by Kevin Keane with colors by D. Cunif. So, first impressions, this is a pretty interesting issue. The first issue, Agent Rim, who is the main character, realizes something's funny when she goes on another drug bust for which she seems to have a particular lack or I should a particular knack or talent or a bit of intuition in figuring out who's the bad guy and where to catch him. When she crosses paths with a drug dealer who seems to have a special ability to trick people into seeing things and doing miraculous feats for escape. This time, she's basically introduced to a much larger world that something strange and funny is going on in Paris when she crosses paths with Sebastian, who's a sorcerer hunting down a killer from the first issue. First impressions, I mean, fantastic. If you're interested in that sort of grounded urban fantasy kind of storytelling where people who are in the everyday mundane world now suddenly realize that there are all kinds of mystical fantasy stuff going on in the background that you never see or don't know is happening. That's kind of interesting storytelling because it gives you a chance to create a world within the world that we already know, and that's takes a particular set of skills to be able to do that from a writing capacity. But it also gives you the opportunity to do some strange and weird things that you don't see just in the middle of the street every single day. But just to recap where we left off, Agent Rim was on a drug bust. She was tracking down a guy who was selling weed. And when she finally catches up with the guy in the subway, he throws what looks like grass at her, and she thinks that's weed, but it really turns out to be grass. But what she doesn't realize it's part of a magical curse. And all of a sudden, this drug dealer who she's chasing can jump ridiculously high, do all kinds of weird things by bending the trajectory of bullets, and do all kinds of strange things where eventually somebody dies who's a bystander and the drug dealer gets away, and nobody except Rim seems to remember or understand what happened. Everybody who's in that subway undergoes some sort of mass hallucination where they can't remember what happened. This time, Agent Rim is trying to convince her boss that something weird it was happening. Everybody's telling her to drop it, and when she decides that okay, enough's enough, I'm going to go out and see if I can find out if there's another drug bust going on in the different part of the city. She catches up with the same drug dealer, and he essentially tries to kill her and all her colleagues, and pretty much succeeds. Right, but before she's the last one standing about to get killed, Sebastian, who was the sorcerer from the first issue, saves her life, but at a little bit of a cost to his own health, because the drug dealer, who is also a killer, gets away, but now Sebastian and H. Rim have crossed paths, and presumably that's going to open up the story for more magical shenanigans going forward. Um, what do we like about this issue? I think overall, it's that whimsical, fantastical element of doing urban fantasy where you can find the hidden under the mundane. And in this case, we get a little bit of flashback in the beginning of the issue and in the back of the issue where you see that magic and especially magical creatures that have been living in the woods have been around for a long time. And that also gives you a taste of the background of Sebastian, who is the sorcerer who's working for effectively a government run mystical agency, and where he comes from, some of his background, and what motivates him as a character to try and protect the innocent. Uh, we like Sebastian. I think he's an interesting character. I'd like to see what more he can do, what he actually is responsible for, and the scope and the scale of the type of things he's responsible for protecting within this new world that Agent Rim is being exposed to. And of course, Agent Rim, who is just basically considers herself an everyday cop, is now all of a sudden struggling with her own sanity as far as, are the things she's seeing real, or has she been doused with some kind of drug and doesn't know what's happening? And that all leads to kind of interesting storytelling as far as people who are confronted with their worldview that's about to change. What didn't we like about the episode? Some of the mystery elements are a little bit too vague and a little bit too much of a black box. We don't know anything about the killer or slash drug dealer. We don't know what they want, what they're after, how Agent Rim is associated with what's going on. There are a lot of open questions. Now, there's time. The series isn't over by any stretch. This is issue 2. So there's plenty of time to kind of start filling in the blank pieces to make that mystery come together. But right now, it's a very big mystery with a lot of holes in it, almost like Swiss cheese. So it's a little hard to get your brain around, especially when people are acting and characters are moving in certain directions. You don't know who they are. You don't know what they're doing. You don't know what they're after. So it's a little hard to get your arms around to kind of get invested in the mystery when you don't know what's going on. And it just seems like a lot of vagary and confusion. So hopefully that gets clarified coming up soon. What about the art? So Fernando Dagnino is one of the better artists around when it comes to this type of grounded storytelling. He, as you can see up from the screen, he knows how to do good dramatic acting from the characters. He knows how to do interesting, engaging panel layouts, and he knows how to kind of capture the moments that matter, that complement the script as the way the story is being told. So Fernando's doing a fantastic job, and the colors also look great. So, what's the final verdict on the Agent Number 2 from Ablaze Publishing? It's an interesting comic. We like where it's going. I like the elements that are coming up in this comic as far as Agent Rim discovering this new world that's both magical and deadly at the same time. But on the flip side of that is there's a lot of open questions and a lot of black box stuff going on where you don't know who's who and what's what. So the mystery isn't quite coming together yet, and if it just stays that way for too long, it could get a little too frustrating. So, having said that, the final score for the Agent Number 2, we're going to give that a 7.5 out of 10. You know what? Scratch that. We're going to give that an 8 out of 10. And that's it for the Agent Number 2 from Ablaze Publishing. I hope you enjoyed this review. Before you leave, please like, share, comment, subscribe, and let us know how we're doing. This is Gabe Hernandez, your publisher in EIC for ComicalOpinions.com, signing off.